welcome. If you're watching this very video, you must be already going to attend the Yale Young Global Scholars program right at Yale University in Connecticut, New Haven, in the United States of America. And today I'll be sharing with you my top 5 biggest YYGS mistakes, and I don't really want you to do the same mistakes that I did right at Yale's campus to be able to get the best of the experience of that very summer program. So welcome again to the CORNDAWGS Blueprint, where we share with you lots of high school pieces of advice you just really want to incorporate in your life to be able to crush high school and join any kind of university you really want to join all over the world. And today, I'm sharing with you my top 5 biggest YYGS mistakes. And the first one is being a perfectionist. Oh my gosh. I really remember the day I arrived at Yale's campus right in New Haven. The first thing that I really told myself is I really want to make the best of everything. And that was really good. You know, if you're really trying to make sure that you maximize everything, that's really super spectacular. But the problem is I wanted to become a perfectionist. Now, there is a very big difference between being a perfectionist and actually also maximizing every chance you do really get, or every opportunity you do really get. And we are also really going to see that in this very video. So the first thing is, every time I really went for any lecture or any group project, I really wanted to give it all that I could. I never wanted to do any mistake. I always waited for this very perfect opportunity or perfect time to speak. You know, there is some lecture going on and there is this very cool professor, for example, Professor Brian, teaching about robotics. And I'm like, you know, I'm really going to wait until, you know, this very time so that I can really ask a question. And by waiting all that time, I really lost so many beautiful opportunities. Instead of just, you know, speaking out my mind and, you know, trying answer a question, every time I just waited for a perfect opportunity to actually speak, a perfect opportunity to really stand up and represent a certain group. And that perfect opportunity really never came to my lane. It really never came to me, and I was really screwed at the end of the program. I was like, oh my gosh, I was waiting for a perfect opportunity, yet every time I really had was that very perfect opportunity. So, besides being a perfectionist, mistake number 2, procrastination. Oh my gosh, we really love procrastinating, especially the very time that I was a high school sophomore. The first thing was I don't want to do all this work right now. I remember I was in the medicine capstone project. Like, every time we're trying to analyze different articles and different research papers, I was like, you know, I'm really gonna do my work before I sleep at 9 p.m. and 9 p.m. comes, you know, I'm scrolling through TikTok or I'm watching Instagram reels. I'm like, you know, I'm really gonna do this work in the morning at 4 a.m. and 4 a.m. I wake up at 7 a.m. I'm late for breakfast. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'll read this very work before I go for the lecture. And guess what? I never would read that very work at all. And at the end of the program is really gonna move faster than you actually really think. I was like, I have really wasted a lot of time than I really thought I'm really gonna utilize to actually become this very kind of good or better person, or, you know, kind of improved version of myself that I really wanted to become. So procrastination is a killer of time, and we have seen this being talked about by almost everyone that has really made it in life, everyone that has really become successful. And we also really know that it isn't really good, but we still do it. So procrastination was one of my top 2 mistakes that I really made during the Yale Young Global Scholars summer program. And I don't really want to just screw up your life or screw up that very cool experience by procrastinating. Utilize every single minute you do really get. And besides the procrastination, besides being a perfectionist, my 3rd mistake was simply fear. I was really fearing to speak up for myself. I was fearing to talk to the peers around me. I remember I had so many cool friends around, around me and in my circle. And I remember one of them was like, Simon, you know, just really want to move over and be like, oh, Simon, how you doing? You know, bro, like, you know, what is really moving on? What are you working on? I was never that very kind of guy, you know. I just used to sit and be so nonchalant. I'm not trying to say that being an introvert or being nonchalant is bad, but you just really have to get the fear out of yourself. And I was so fearful, I I had a lot of confidence before I arrived on campus, but due to the diverse culture and different peers, as I really told you, everyone is really super good in something, you know. And I was just right there and I was fearing. I was like, I'm not that good. I don't really have to speak right now. I'm just really gonna wait. And I felt so small in that very group, even when I wasn't really small. I felt like I didn't really belong to that very group. And yet I really did belong. That very fear really, really scrapped off so many beautiful moments of my life. Because as we're really going to dive deeper into my other two mistakes, they are really gonna be so hilarious. So don't fear, stand up for yourself and let the fear just get out of your body. This is a very short experience that you're really gonna have only once in your life, because you can only apply to YYGS once and not any other time. So as we move on to my fourth mistake, which is saying no. So because of this very fear that was really building up in my body every time I'm just really on campus, I was this very no person. I like saying no. So I remember some of my friends really came over to me and they're like, what, conduct, let's just really walk over, to the basketball, and just play some basketball, or you just go to the park and play some frisbee or some American football. I'm like, I have some papers to read. I'm sorry, I'm not really gonna go with you. I didn't really have papers to read at that very time, to be honest. I just didn't want to go, I just wanted to keep there and just sometimes sleep or sometimes scroll. Like, I didn't really embrace the opportunity that I really had at that very time, even though there are very many other benefits. But I feel like the number of times I really said no to certain things wasn't really quite good. I should have said yes to a couple of things and some of the, kind of casual experiences, because those are the experiences that do really build you up. And those are the moments you will look back at and be like, what, I'm really very grateful that I really traveled maybe to the park to play some frisbee, or I really moved with my friends to this very place to do something, because they will really allow you to commute around a certain boundary around that very Yale's old campus, and you can really utilize that very time really well. So saying no was one of the things that really tripped me off, and perhaps I should have said more yeses than nos to my friends, especially when they really come to like casual things to really do. And I don't really want you have that very kind of small regret that I'm really having right now, and you're like, that was a terrible mistake I really did. I don't want you to do that. I just really want you to have the best experience you can really have at that very campus. So as we're really wrapping it up, after all the fear, after all the procrastination, after being a perfectionist, after saying no, my fifth biggest mistake was self-criticism. This is one thing I really want to tell you. The admissions officer chose you for a reason. They saw that you're very unique, very different, and you fit in that very cohort, in that very group. If at all you do really get it, you've told your story and you do really make it to that very group, you don't really have to criticize yourself. I was this very kind of big self-critic. Every time I used to see myself, I'm like, I'm not as good as this very guy or this very dude right over here, because maybe he got a 1600 on the SAT and maybe I got something like a 1590. I didn't get a perfect score and you got a perfect score. Those small things, they are really gonna trip you up. They're really gonna make you feel like you don't really belong to that group at all. Don't compare yourself. Oh my gosh, this is really gonna be said by almost everyone over YouTube, over TikTok, over Instagram, over Facebook. Everyone says don't compare yourself. It's been like the song of the day. But how many of us don't actually compare ourselves to the other people? That's really normal. Comparing yourself to your friend, at first it's really gonna feel like you really wanna, sort of grow and use that very experience or that very person's life as, as light towards where you're moving or as inspiration. But what I just really want to tell you is that everyone is walking a unique path. Your path is very different from my path, is very different from person's X or person Z's path, and that's really gonna be very different. Don't criticize yourself. Don't have that very negative self criticism of getting to feel like you don't belong to this very group, as in you're not really good enough. Even when you're really gonna speak and you say something, and maybe your peers, half of your peers snap, it's not because they don't like you, because the other half didn't snap or they didn't clap you, they don't like you. Maybe it's just because they didn't really feel like it. It's very different. So don't look for these very small moments from your peers or small reactions that may not really mean a lot to sort of feel like you don't really belong to that group. And I know this is really going to happen a lot with high achievers, because you feel like you should be doing more than you're doing. But what I just really want to tell you is that you are at the right spot. And being a high school student that has really made it to this very prestigious high school summer program, you just don't really have to beat up yourself. Just have a little more mercy with yourself. Just bury yourself and have the best experience you can right on that very campus. It's really a very, very fast program. It's really days are gonna move so fast, but before you actually get it, you'll be like, oh, you really have to go back to home because the program is done. So obviously, just as we all know that after, having a certain kind of experience in life, you need to pick life lessons from that. And my biggest lesson from all this experience, it's just be present in every moment. Be present now. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Just be in that very moment. If I could really go back way back in time, I would just be present in every moment. I remember I was just overthinking about my high school upcoming exams, the exams I really had to do, the work that I was really missing. And that really made me feel like, oh, I'm losing a lot. And yet I was in that very kind of cool environment. So just be authentic, just like you've always been. Be that very lovely and kind person to the people around you. And utilize every moment, make the best out of it. Speak to as many people as you can. Don't fear. Do the work at that very time. If it means hanging out, just hang out with your friends. Those moments are really the most important ones, not only in our lives, but also in our childhood as we are really trying to grow up. And obviously, if you really found this very video super helpful, just share it with your friends and family and people around you, so that maybe it could really help them sort of, avoid these very mistakes. And if you're also really planning on applying to Yale Young Global Scholars program, I can't really wait for you to really apply and reach out to me in case you really have any questions. You can like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you just really want to have much more of this very story sets or anything related to the high school summer programs. Keep posted to the CORNDAWGS Blueprint. Thanks for watching.